Well, they both made the time controls under some kind of pressure on Burns' part, and Nigel Short in this enormously powerful position, looking and sounding as if he was going to win fairly clearly. Bill, what did actually happen? How did the game now develop?
Well, Byrne really is struggling here, having lost this exchange. Short completely bamboozled him. Let's just see how White tries to kill him. Rook comes to the d-file, supporting this tremendous passed pawn. Bishop attacking a rook. e2. Byrne must try to find some play on the queen side. He's taken a pawn here. Now there followed a lot of exchanges on the b5 square. Black finally got in this freeing move of b5. But a bit too late. Extraordinary game, this. Everything coming off on b5. We're just going to be left with a position where White has just to clear rook against knight, and still this passed d pawn. The rook's pinned, so White moved out of the pin, king to f2, and that's where we are at move 45.
And let's rejoin the game there with Robert Byrne to play. Still in a certain amount of difficulties, still having to resolve this problem of being a piece and a pawn down, an exchange and a pawn down. Back to the game with Byrne to play his 45th move.
King f2. Oh, I wasn't worried about that. I mean, any more than I am about anything else. But what would I have done on queen d3? That's the move that added another gray hair to my top. Queen d3, I would have had to try, I don't know, some hand-to-mouth existence like queen a4 or what. Anyway, I'm very relieved he's giving me time to consolidate my pieces. And if I play knight c5, I not only prevent the advance of the pawn for the moment, but the knight constantly bears on the e4 square, which is a fork square, and produces all kinds of tactical possibilities here. Well, knight c5.
Well, I can't make any progress with my d-pawn in this position. Maybe I should just try and smash up his king side. So I've got too many isolated pawns, and it'd be quite useful if I could get rid of some. If I just play h4, threatening h5, well then, what's he going to do? Knight d7? Then I go queen g5. Yes, this has got to be winning for me. h4.
Oh, am I glad to see that. He just doesn't have the luxury to fool around with pawns here. The whole thing is the consolidation of his pieces to advance the d-pawn. I wonder if he's overlooked the plan I have here. I'll bet he hasn't caught all the points of it. He probably doesn't realize his d-pawn is in great danger. Oh, play rook d8, attack the pawn, and then I have queen b6 later with a discovered check tempo. Right, rook d8.
Well, what's that doing? And if I just continue with h5, what's he got? But it's completely finished. Oh, maybe you can go queen b6 there. Yes, that looks quite good. Then I'll have to move my king or something, and he can take my d-pawn, and I'm probably not winning. This is terrible. How am I going to stop this threat? Well, I've got it. Maybe just queen e3, and if he plays queen b6, then I just defend my pawn with queen d4. Yeah, this looks okay. Queen e3.
Oh, I like that. I like that. It can't be. It can't be. I know it can't be, but he could fall into a trap here. But there is such a trap. If I play queen b6 now, he could plump right into queen d4, which would be smashed by rook takes d6 You can't play queen takes rook because of knight e4, double discovered check, and knight takes the queen on d6, winning a queen. Well, I do think I've saved the game. Queen b6.
Well, now just queen d4. What's he got? Oh, he can play rook takes d6. That's terrible. I'm completely lost then. Well, there must be some other way to defend this pawn. No, rook e d2, knight e4 check. This is a disaster. I've just lost my d pawn. I don't think there's any way of defending it. Maybe if rook c2, and if he plays rook takes d6, then I can play rook takes c5, and then if he takes on d1, then rook c8 check, and I pick up his queen on b6. Well, yes, it's messy, but maybe even this is winning for me. Rook c2.
Damn, that's a nice, rational move. He could have fallen into so many traps here. Well, but I ought to be thankful I'm getting out of this alive, I suppose, and not be so awfully greedy. But of course, rook takes d6, he wants to give me some of my own trappy medicine with rook takes c5, rook takes d1, rook c8 check, and I part with my queen. So we have to do this thing in a little different order of moves. We have to begin with knight e4 check, yes. Knight e4 check.
With both players setting and evading traps, it looks very much as if Robert Byrne has managed to fight off that rather sharp attack by Nigel Short, and may not perhaps after all lose, as appeared very possible just a few moves ago. Bill, take us through the next few moves.
Yes, it really looks as though Short's let Byrne bamboozle him. This d6 pawn, which looked set to win the game for White, is now attacked by all of Black's pieces. Of course, White's in check at the moment from the knight. Can't take the knight, because then he'd be in check from the queen on the diagonal. So White has to move his king away. And now the pawn's ready for execution, but first Black has to exchange queens. Queen's coming off. White must recapture, of course. And now both rook and knight attacking the pawn. Take the rook first to make sure that these rooks get exchanged. After the exchange of rooks, we're just going to reach this ending of rook and two pawns, two split pawns, against knight and 3. Very difficult for White to make any progress. Knight coming in, checking, attacking this pawn. And this is White's only hope, to get the king to f6, and then there might be a threat of mate, rook on c8. But the king comes out to stop the white king coming in. Now White's forced on the defensive. Rook's normally worth knight and 2 pawns, but in this position knight and 1 can easily hold. Even a threat of Black winning now, knight g4 check, he has to watch out for that. Rook coming to attack the knight, and knight checking the king to force the king further back, and it's impossible to see either side making any progress here.
In fact, it looks as if Nigel Short's going to offer a draw.
Would you like a draw?
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
A good draw for Nigel against Robert Byrne, or do you think he was swindled?
It was a good game, but he certainly should have won it. He just didn't quite have the technique. But after 2 games, he has a win and a draw against 2 grandmasters, and that's remarkable.
And it does in fact raise the very real possibility that Nigel Short, this 15-year-old schoolboy, could actually finish top of the group. And if he did, that would be as big a shot as Lothar Schmidt finishing top of his group last year. As you can see, he needs just half a point to cause a very real upset by ousting all 3 of these grandmasters and qualifying for the final. Next week we're going to leave Group A, we're going over to Group B, where the other English player, Tony Miles, who of course is a grandmaster and a very outstanding and leading one, is leading by half a point from Donner and Schmidt. Next week Tony Miles takes on Hein Donner of Holland. They've had some vintage battles in the past. That will almost certainly be spectacular. Miles needing to win to qualify there. A draw would help him a long way down the way. Until next week from all of us here in Bristol, good night.